How's it going? It's Matt, and I just want to talk to you a little bit about the keto flu. Keto flu is something that a lot of people expect to get when they start the ketogenic diet. You might have tried the ketogenic diet and experienced some really achy, sort of flu-like symptoms a day or so later once you've started, and you might get headaches, you might feel nausea, dizziness, all these sorts of things, muscle cramps. Basically what this is it's a problem with electrolytes. You've lost a lot of electrolytes and your body's reacting. What happens when you start to go into ketosis is that your insulin levels drop in your body, and that also down regulates, reduces the amount of aldosterone. This aldosterone is a hormone that basically regulates how much sodium and salts are stored in the kidneys. And when this hormone is reduced, your kidneys basically release more of this of your electrolytes, and that gives you the symptoms of a keto flu. So basically, it's a very simple thing. Once you're on ketosis, your body's not going to retain so much salt, and that's actually one of the problems that you might have is that you're not eating enough salt. And so your body's actually going to retain excess water, and so you might feel that as bloating or something like that. So how do you get that much salt, and how much do you need? Well, it's quite a bit more than you'd be used to. We're talking about 4 grams of potassium, similar amounts of sodium, and then magnesium is probably around the 500 milligram mark is what we're looking for there. So let's talk about the options, how you can do it. Well, there's one way. You can grab a litre of water and you can dissolve about 1.5 teaspoons of Himalayan salt or light salt. So I've got some Himalayan salt here. You can throw some of that into a litre of water. To get the potassium, you're going to want to pick up some light salt. Light salt has potassium and sodium, and you're going to actually grab some of that, and it's about a teaspoon of that into some water, and so there's a recipe for that, and basically then you just drink it. It's not, if you haven't drunken this before, it's not exactly the most palatable, but it's one way of getting your salt intake required. Another way is simply to make food that's very salty. One of those is a bone broth, and I've done this before. So that requires you to get some bones from the shop. Basically, you're going to throw some veggies in with that. It's some capsicum, some good stuff like that. Onions, put in some salt again. You soak it with some vinegar before you start cooking. Again, you're going to be adding some salt, pepper, spices. Basically, then you just boil it in a slow cooker for something like 48 hours, and then eventually you skim off all the fat and you pull out what is basically, this is actually my bone broth from the last brew. I'm going to put that in the freezer because it's all starting to melt. And then basically I put it into an ice cube tray and make up little shots of the bone broth that I mix up with hot water and add some spices, and it's quite nice. So I get my salt intake through that. But it's a fairly lengthy process, and my wife does not appreciate the smell of this stuff when it's cooking. It can get pretty overwhelming and overpowering for about 2 days as this is brewing. So that all takes time, but it is good. It tastes really good, and it's natural, and it's also something that's pretty good for you, and I love it. I really do. But it takes a lot of time. And to get the salt, if you're just starting out on the ketogenic diet, this might not be where you want to start. You might want to start off with something that's a little bit easier. But you might not be keen on just drinking salty water. Salty water is a bit hard to get used to, so you're going to want to gradually increase the amount of salt that you put in the water to your palate, because if you go for the full amount required all in one go, you can have some issues in the bathroom. So basically, if you're eating too much salt, you'll know, because you'll start getting loose stools, and that's basically how you know when you're getting too much salt. Much simpler option is to use the ultralight sachets. Now these have 1300 milligrams of potassium in one pack, and basically you have 4 of these a day, so you're going to get over your 4 grams of potassium, and basically you get 120 mils of water. You pour that in, and so it's just like a chocolate milk, and you stir it up, and it's got cocoa and all that sort of stuff. You just mix it up, just like you would. And you can have it as a hot or cold drink. It doesn't matter. So I'm just having cold and ice, and this has also got amino acids in it. So once you've stirred it up and it's all ready to go, you can have that. That's how basically you get your potassium requirements for the day on the ultralight program. So it's a lot less effort. But it's the salts that you need, and that will help you avoid getting the keto flu, avoid all those headaches, the flu-like symptoms that can come along with this process, this change in lifestyle. So the ultralight sachets, very simple, very easy, and they're effective in helping you reduce the amount of water retention, reduce your keto flu symptoms, and basically eliminate them. So that's all for today.